Beautiful. Hi guys. Today I wanted to come on here and tell a story of mine that I feel is very significant and can help a lot of other people if they're seeking out the same things, especially in the same area. Since I have my phone connected to the car, it might not record the audio as best as it should. Like, the audio will probably be coming from the car, but as long as I record it, I could go back and re-record it later on, do another batch, hook it up or whatever. And so this story is about me pursuing my BSN nursing degree here in Tucson, Arizona. I got accepted and enrolled into the Arizona College of Nursing here in Tucson in May, and I began classes either that same month or the following month in June, like early June. And so it's July right now. I took biology 189 and psychology with them. The biology course was in person and online, though the psychology course was all online. With both of these classes, there were group assignments where the professors assigned us to work with other individuals, and we did that every other week. One week there would be assignments for us to post individually on our own, and then the next week we would have to coordinate with our other team members to get assignments turned in. My biology class was great. The group that I was assigned to in that class, of course there were some issues here and there, but they aren't the reason for me making this video. It was the psychology class. Funny, right? So the group in the psychology class, there were some vendettas, personal differences going on, and a lot of tension in the group, primarily because one of the members in the group I had worked with, not academically, but at a 9-to-5 environment. I worked with them elsewhere outside of the school, and they weren't too fond of me there, and I weren't too fond of them. Though when I started this program, I did find it interesting that they happened to pop up at the same nursing program that I decided. And wow, how even more strange that I'm in my class and I get assigned to a group with this person in it. But me being who I am, a woman who is confident in herself, I didn't feel the need to express any sort of discomfort or unsatisfactory of anything pertaining to that person, because they don't mean anything to me. But clearly I meant a lot to them for them to, one, try and sabotage my work life, and then to also do the same thing with my academics. But the thing isn't, it's not that they themselves tried to sabotage. Let me continue. So in the psychology class, for our last group assignment, we had to work together to submit some slides on a presentation with a business idea that we came up with and record it as a group. We were all communicating on messages, text messages, group chats. The group wound up kicking me out of the group chat. Why? Apparently, one of them had got offended by me changing the group name to Las Pendejas. Funny. These are all, the rest of the group members were all grown women. I was not working with any high school students, any minors. They were all grown women. There were other silly things said in the group chat, similar to Las Pendejas by the other group members. So after and so once they removed me from the group, that put us all in a sticky situation with getting our assignment turned in for the final exam. Being that the professor kept stressing that in order for us to get full credit, any credit at all, we needed to complete the assignment as a group together. And they decided to remove me from the group with an attempt to have me fail my class so that I could receive a 0 on the final exam, trying to portray the image that, I didn't want to work with them, or it was so difficult to work with me. That type of attitude, the typical. But then the thing is, you see, with hearing this story, people will go like, well, what were their races? Like, were they white? Were they black? If we're going to bring race into it, the main girl, pardon me, the main girl who was trying to sabotage me was black. There was a white girl, Mexican in the group, a couple of them, and then actually that was it. And then like one other black person. And so the final decision came down to the professor, and the professor decided that was absolute there was absolutely no reason for us to not have been able to work as a team and get the exam turned in. Basically siding with me because they were wrong. That wasn't even their place to try and exclude someone. They had no authority to exclude anyone from the group that we were all assigned in by the professor. And so as a result, we all received a 50% on the final exam. Better than a 0, but still a 50%. Being that we could have gotten something really close to 100, a A, if they had have not done that, but that's not the point. So from there, they were so upset with them receiving a 50% on the final exam because they thought that they wouldn't have to be held accountable for excluding me from the group, that they went over the professor's head and complained to other faculty members to try and get some sort of reprimand done towards me. We had a Zoom meeting. Majority of us in the meeting, everyone in our group did not attend the meeting, though on the Zoom meeting, it was just full of them blaming me again, trying to say that it was hard to work with me and this and that. They didn't like my schedule. They didn't like my attitude. They didn't like how I talked. They didn't like what I was saying or what I was not saying. They just had a problem with everything. And the faculty members, there was one main guy. Like, if you're attending this college or if you plan on attending this college, it's the current dean of students for the 2025 year. It's him. I could tell that he had already made up his mind to side with them, because there was just nothing clicking up there. He wasn't thinking logically at all, and everything that he continued to say was the only thing and the same stuff that the students were saying. It was nothing pertaining to fact. Why did you guys kick her out of the group? We're having this meeting. Why did you kick her out of the group? Who told you to kick her out of the group? That's why you got a 50% on the grade. Not because of her schedule, because you didn't like how she talked or you didn't like that she didn't talk enough. It was because you decided to remove someone from the group. And you guys got a 50%. But no. He said, well, I'm going to write you up for this because it was just so hard for them to work with you. And I'm like, huh? How are we supposed to be working? How are you supposed to work with anyone and they block you? They stop talking to you. They stop responding to you. With a virtual class, how the hell am I supposed to, huh? And so that became their reason for expelling me from the school. From there, he did the same that as the students were doing, deflecting from the root cause and refusing to acknowledge anything that I said, dismissing everything that I was saying, and decided to transfer the problem to a higher position of authority, the president of the school. Because he also didn't want to deal with me like the students. And and so during the meeting with the president and all of the other faculty members and him, the same thing that I'm saying now was said in the meeting. Though their final decision was to just expel me. I attended all of my classes. I showed up on time to all of my classes. I turned in all of my assignments. I was the top performing student in both of those classes. There was nothing related to dress code that I was violating. There were no rules, no regulations that I was violating. Everything that I was doing, I was supposed to be doing. I was doing as they requested for me to do. Though when it came down to it, they decided to expel me from their program due to a few students saying that it was difficult to work with me, when it was clearly a lie, and that it was their choice to not work with me. Not that it was difficult to work with me, they just didn't want to. Like, literally expelled me. No paperwork in the meeting. They're just like, oh, okay, well, we'll decide on this and get back to you later. An hour later, because I had class later on the same day, I was removed from all of my classes online, couldn't access anything on the school network. Expulsion was right there on the you know, when this happened, I was just like a little torn up about it. Like, what the fuck? Like, huh? Mind you, I was paying my money. I was paying my tuition to the school. And you expelled me just because you can? Just because you wanted to? You expel me with no reason, without following your own proper procedure? Maybe you could say it's a race problem. It is in Tucson, Arizona, and if you know anything about this place, race is kind of a big deal here. But in education, you could also say that there was a race problem there. You don't have to look like me, sound like me, identify as anything that I identify as to be the only one subjected to that type of treatment. You can look like anything. Something like that could happen to anyone. If they would easily do that to me, they will do that easily to anyone else. Think about that. Like, someone could be there for an entire year. That's an entire year of paying their tuition, of them getting funding from FAFSA, and then all of a sudden a group of students come up against one and say that, oh, it's just hard to work with them, and they expel them for that. I want everyone watching this video to just be very mindful of that school, and honestly, just stay far away from them. Far, far away from them. No one should ever be subjected to that type of treatment. That's outrageous. Unacceptable. I wanted to get on here and tell my story. A piece of it, at least. Maybe I'll be able to help someone else. Maybe there's someone out there that is also considering going to that school. Well, here's the truth. Here's some of the truth. My experience, of course, won't be everyone's experience, but it's significant enough for everyone who even considers going there to know.